Greetings, unsettled souls. Welcome to the Correct Views. Semi-meeting Angie doing political commentary for the Media Speaks. And I have a feeling that I didn't trigger this as I should. Oh, I did, but the sound is actually up for a change. You never know. Google has a habit of shutting your sound off, so you never know. Anyway, welcome aboard, friends. It is the Correct Views, and I am doing the massive Fukushima update, hence my my skinny puppy Fukushima shirt here. Of course, them being a leftist band and me being somewhat of a libertarian, it's where we both meet every month. Now, if you're here for the massive Fukushima update, do me a favor and skip ahead 5 minutes, because you probably are not a regular subscriber. And I want to get to the show, and I don't want you to get bored. I don't want you to click off. I need to talk to all of my regular subscribers for a minute because I've been gone for a second. Skip ahead 5 minutes, and the Fukushima show will start. I am timing now. It is 12:16. Subscribers, hello. Where have I been? I've been gone for a couple of reasons. First of all, this is the only camera I have, the one that you're seeing. And I've been getting a lot of complaints, and people don't want to share it. I did some work for InfoWars, God bless them. They've helped me in a million ways. But they weren't able to use some footage I used because of the camera that I had, and it was better than this one. So I've just sort of taken a break from the show. You can still find my work every day at the Conservative Daily Post. I post between 4 to 5 articles a day, sometimes 6 if I'm lucky. But I'm active. I'm still doing what I'm doing. I've taken a break from the show because you guys that are listening now that didn't skip ahead, you guys are the core. But there aren't tons of you. And I'm getting complaints about them not liking my gear, whatever. So what I'm doing is focusing heavily on doing a certain number of shows each month. If you want me to do more, leave it in my comment line, and I'm not going to let you guys down. You'll get more. It's just that I have very limited gear. So you have to either care about what I'm saying or not care about what I'm saying, because you probably didn't tune in for the really cool alien action figure. Although it is pretty freaking cool. You tuned in for news. And if more people start tuning in for the news, then by all means I will be here. But I don't have the money to advertise or any of that crap. So I'm out here. You guys share it. You guys want more, you'll get more. The other thing is that my wife, uncle, who is the Christelle, the behind-the-scenes queen of the show. She's the one who manned the cameras for the Donald Trump event where we got to be on the media truck and we had our press passes. You guys remember that. Her uncle slash brother, he was more like a brother to her in life, but he was biologically her uncle. He unfortunately has died. Cancer, for those of you that always want to know. I know I do. And what would he die of? Cancer. And unfortunately, I've got more viewers coming in. In 3 minutes, I will be going into the actual Fukushima show. Don't go away. I'm talking to my subscribers. Welcome aboard. God bless you. He succumbed to cancer after a very brave fight. And my behind-the-scenes queen is not here. She is in Arkansas, so I would appreciate any and all prayers for her. So for those 2 reasons, I own crap for gear. You guys can help if you want at the Correct Views at hotmail.com. You can donate through PayPal. Any money that I get for the show goes to the show. It doesn't go to me. It doesn't go for my next haircut. That's a joke. It goes to the show. So you donate $10, you donate $1,000, you donate $10,000, whatever you goes to a better show. The likes, all of that crap. Other than that, that's where I've been, and I've got like a minute and a half to talk before I get into my actual show. So I've got more people joining in. Thank you. Welcome aboard. And why do I do what I do? Because this stuff matters. It matters a lot. That's why I'm happy that I work at the Conservative Daily Post, because I get to write about things that matter, and I get it out to a lot more people than I would if I did it myself. I've got people tuning in now. That's because they care about what's coming up. They care about the Fukushima news. And I'm going to be out here doing it. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just doing it a lot less because while I might be nuts, I'm not nuts enough to talk into a camera if no one is watching. And a lot of people aren't watching because my gear is crap. And I know that. So I'm going to go ahead and post for the people that care. And the more they care, the more that I'm going to post. And it is now time for the massive Fukushima update. Subscribers, thank you so much for going ahead and listening to the update. Everybody else, you skipped ahead. Welcome aboard. Hit subscribe. And let's get ready. We have the massive Fukushima update. And unfortunately, it's not a show where there is a lot of good news to be had. However, there are ways to protect yourself. I'll get to them at the end of the show. I always do. JapanTimes.co.jp. It's Fukushima disaster. Reconstruction minister apologizes over outburst at journalist. For those of you new to the show, don't panic. I do go to screen share, and you can see all my sources as I read them. Basically, the person who is in charge of reconstructing the disaster in order to, how many of you watch Seconds from Disaster? It's a TV show that I like, and I don't like a lot of TV shows. It reconstructs the worst disasters that you have seen and tells you how they happened. If you haven't seen it, look it up. The guy that was in charge of doing this for the disaster of Fukushima was trying to give a press conference or some kind of press meeting regarding the data and what he has learned thus far. Excuse me. So what he did was, while giving this meeting, yelled at some of the people who were asking questions unrelated to his little reconstruction battle. He yelled at them, and they were asking legitimate questions. So let's go ahead and take a look at what those questions were. Mauricio Emumara, minister in charge of reconstructing the disaster-hit Tohoku region, apologized Tuesday for raising his voice to a freelance journalist at a news conference over demanding questions on the government's supporting of Fukushima evacuees. Let me go ahead and quickly launch here into... I think that'll work. Maybe not. Imamura was repeatedly asked how the central government planned to help those who voluntarily evacuated from areas near the Fukushima #1 nuclear plant, even though their towns and places of residence had not been designated by the state as mandatory evacuation zones. On March 31st, the Fukushima prefectural government terminated its financial assistance for housing about 26,000 such voluntary evacuees. In other words, it's as if they chose to go. Look at that word there. Let me highlight that. Voluntary evacuees. Many of those evacuees, however, have no intention to or are unable to return to their hometowns in the prefecture because of concerns over radiation, financial difficulty, and other reasons. Now, let me go ahead and pause this for just one moment while I explain to you a few simple facts. First of all, now let's factor out the disabled and those who are sick. Let's factor those out because that's not fair for what I'm about to say. But I'm a 44-year-old man, luckily still healthy enough to snowboard or whatever. And in 6 years' time, if I was moved away from a nuclear disaster zone, there should be some reason for me to go and get some kind of a job. In 6 years' time, this happened in 2011. In 6 years' time, that would allow me to be able to sustain myself with little or minimal government assistance. For some reason, I may be missing something here. These people have been housed and have made no plans for what to do when the government tells them that they are no longer on the government dole. That said, I am also enough of a liberal weenie to say this. It's TEPCO and the nuclear industry which caused this. Therefore, it should be TEPCO and the nuclear industry which has to pay for this. That means housing them in a warehouse and feeding them ramen noodles. I'm kidding, but you know what I mean. Maybe they should have spent that money to buy them a house in Japan in a safe region that is far removed from the Fukushima problem. Because let's face it, I'm a libertarian. If I destroy your property, then I probably need to replace your property unless I had a very good reason for doing so. Fukushima, and I should say TEPCO, ignored the warnings given by scientists about a coming earthquake in Fukushima, and it destroyed these people's property. So that clearly is not a quote-unquote good reason. So that's my stance on it. I do want to get some more of the actual article. More and more people coming in. God bless you. Welcome aboard. Many of those evacuees, however, have no intention or are unable to return. Like I said, worried about radiation, which they should be. And the Bureau maintained that it was the Fukushima prefecture government, not the central government, that should extend direct assistance to those evacuees. That Tokyo is all ready to support the prefectural government. And basically, here's what they're doing to these people. I'm going to scroll through this slowly so that you guys that wish to hit screen share can do so. There you go. 3, 2, 1. Very good. Basically, what's happening here is the government is playing pin the tail on the demon here. Oh, you're supposed to pay for it. No, you're supposed to pay for it. Back and forth and back and forth. With at the end of the day, is nobody wanting to take responsibility for the fact that the nuclear industry, TEPCO, GE, we bring good things to life. No, you don't. What you bring is misery through the nuclear industry. And that's what they brought here. So you have two things happening in tandem here. One, you have a number of people who for 6 years after the disaster were foolish enough to trust the government, which anybody who knows anything about government will tell you is a horrible idea. Let's look at Obamacare, for instance. Made a bad problem worse. They trusted the government to continue paying for them and didn't do whatever needed to be done to get a job outside of that area. By that I mean moving to the west of Japan so that the jet stream moves, pushing the radiation away from you. For instance, it would be healthier to live in Western Japan than it would be Hawaii or LA, for instance, because of the direction of the jet stream. And they didn't prepare, they trusted the government. And second of all, the government let the people down because they are the ones that helped and even subsidized the nuclear industry in order for the nuclear industry to be able to exist. Now, I know a lot of people are going to zone out because people have the attention span half as long as a Katy Perry song. But for those of you with the attention spans, a little bit longer than a mushroom stem, will understand that the nuclear industry cannot exist without the government giving it subsidies. So that when these things go red, if they go red, then they can be properly paid for. Because otherwise, they cost so much that the risk could absolutely never be subsidized if the government didn't do it. So what you have, that's a long-winded, perhaps, way of saying that the government is using taxpayer money to pay for the industry, in this case, the nuclear industry, that will go ahead and proceed to poison the people on money that they paid in order for them to exist. That seems a bit unusual to you. That's because you're a normal thinking, everyday caring person. Yeah, welcome to that. You're rare. Going back to screen share here, there's a lot more to get to. E&E News. Most catastrophic fisheries collapse in history expected along the West Coast. Official says, this is a nightmare. I have never in my life dreamed that it could get this bad. The threat of coast-wide fishing failure. There's many instances. I'm going to again. I go. Feel free to go to pause to get all of these sources in. 3, 2, 1. Very good job. Listen to this. And there's videos to back this up. Is what I'm saying. I don't know which site you want to go to. E&E is an aggregate like Drudge. Listen to this. Yurok Tribe Times Press. The Yurok tribe is bracing for the far-reaching economic, cultural, and social challenges created by what is expected to be the most catastrophic fishery collapse in the Calaf River's history. The number of fall Chinook salmon predicted to return is the lowest on record. If you think this doesn't affect you, don't zone out. I'm going to tell you how it does when I'm done. This unprecedented fishery crash, it says, will have real consequences for the Uruk people. This is a nightmare. I have never in my life dreamed that it could be this bad, said Thomas P. O'Rourke Sr., chairman of the Yurok tribe. The bleak 2017 forecast is linked to the three-punch combination, comprised of 2 straight years of extremely elevated juvenile fish disease levels. That means more fish getting sick than normal and dying. Diminished river conditions and poor ocean health. Well, what could be poisoning the ocean, my friends? It also says we are in crisis mode. This is the most terrible fisheries disaster in the tribe's history. That's not a bad English. It's just the way it's translated into English. I deal with that all the time at work, trust me. What is all of this saying, friends? Well, I can tell you what it's saying. It's saying that we have created a disaster that is so unbelievably bad that we are seeing a fish die-off in the Pacific Ocean. Now, I know what you're going to ask. You're going to ask, why does that affect Joe Average, you listening to this right now, and why shouldn't you just click off and see if Kim Kardashian posted a new picture of her butt? Well, I can tell you why. A thing called the food chain. The algae is eaten by the little tiny fish. And the fish, those fish are eaten by bigger fish, and on and on and on. Well, tuna is one of the higher animals on the food chain in terms of human consumption. Do you know that there isn't a single tuna that can be caught in the Pacific Ocean that doesn't show some signs of at least mild radiological poisoning? And I'm not talking about something that's normal. I'm talking about levels that have not even been hinted at prior to the Fukushima level. And they are being served on your dinner plate. My wife, God bless her, the beautiful Christelle, the behind-the-scenes queen, who I miss very much tonight, is a huge fan of putting tuna in her Velveeta macaroni and cheese. It makes me a nervous wreck because it's absolutely carcinogenic. It'll kill her. That means cancerous for you Russia fans. So when the tuna starts to go from being sick to dying off, how long is it going to be before that happens to you and I? Because of course, the tuna life cycle is less than ours, particularly considering the fishing industry. This is going to create a huge problem because since fish are dying off, how long is that going to be until this starts to affect the human food chain? It's something you're going to want to think about, friends, because it has an absolute effect on your life and your family. Maybe you're watching right now. I got a bunch of viewers. Hello, all of you. You're looking right now and you're thinking, look at this long-haired guy with his tattoo. Who's he? I'm a guy that simply knows how to read facts. I know how to look up things, and the only thing I might be able to do better than the average Joe is convey. I can tell you guys watching, I can tell you what's coming up, and I can make it explain all the BS that you don't want to read. I can give it to you in a way that matters. You want it real quick? I'll give it to you real quick. There's a problem in Japan that's going to give someone in your family cancer or heart disease. It might be you. And that happened, and they can't put the genie back in the bottle, but there are things that they can be doing to make it a lot safer, like not selling certain kinds of tuna, but they're doing it because they know that you're stupid enough to buy it. Now I've got other news. I've got other facts. Here we go. This is also from the Japan Times. Real coast of Fukushima disaster will reach 70 trillion, or triple the government's estimate, according to a think tank. That's about $650 to $690 billion. Shout out to my editor at the Conservative Daily Post who figured that out for me today. $626 billion. There it is. I used a different article. I'm not an idiot. If otherwise, I'd have seen it. A private think tank says that the total cost of the Fukushima disaster could reach 70 trillion yen, of course, $626 billion, or more than 3 times the government's latest estimate. Didn't I just tell you how you should never trust the government? Well, that's why they always mess things like that up. In a study Saturday, no different than America, the Japan Center for Economic Research said costs of dealing with the heavily damaged Fukushima #1 nuclear plant run by Tokyo Electric Power, that is TEPCO, that is GE. That is why you pull your money out of any kind of mutual fund that GE is in, because they did this. It could rise between 50 trillion and 70 trillion yen. Excuse me. In December, the government estimated the cost could reach roughly 22 trillion. If costs rise, the public burden could greatly increase. The country's nuclear policy needs to be reviewed, JCER said. The government's initial expectation pegged the cost at 11 trillion. So here's what they did. Let me break this down for you, because it's why you bothered to tune in. Because you don't want to read the rest of the article, you want me to paraphrase it, and that's what I'm going to do. The government tells you that this lighter is a danger. It's a danger. Making sure I'm not burning my house down with my inset, which is the reason it's up here. This here is a danger. But considering the scope of the screen that you're looking at here, this ain't much of a danger. It's going to cost about $11 trillion. Yen. So the average Japanese citizen says, okay, nuclear is bad, I know, but it's not that bad. And then they do this. Here is the cost of the nuclear disaster in real terms. Of course, it may get bigger, but you shouldn't be alarmed. And that's why you tune in, isn't it? Okay, that's what that last story just meant. In a nutshell, there's no reason to read anymore. That's what they were just told. Friends, I've got 2 more stories to get to, including the Dumb D of the Day. The Dunce Cap of the Month award show is going to be postponed until Christelle is back, because I can't fold the hats, otherwise they look like crap. If you enjoy what you're watching, then do me 2 favors. And don't zone out like all kinds of listeners. Don't zone out. This is who pays the bills. Until you do. Sticker Junkie. Not only do they support the show, but they make amazing stickers. And here's what I'm going to do. If you put in my comment line, I love Sticker Junkie. That's what you need to write. And then you need to contact me privately at thecorrectviews@hotmail.com to give me your address. If you type in, I love Sticker Junkie, I will send you this sticker for free. It's autographed by Christelle and I. I don't know how many of them I have. I don't know. There's a couple up here. When I run out, then that's when you don't get any more. How's that? Sounds fair to me. I will make sure that you get the sticker just for saying I love Sticker Junkie in my comment line. Also, this is listener supported. I'm doing this because you guys care enough to hit share, to hit subscribe, to hit retweet, put it on Facebook, whatever. But please put me on Facebook anyway. You can support what I'm doing at the correct views at hotmail.com through PayPal. That would mean a better camera, maybe different camera angles, maybe a number of things. Maybe this becomes my full-time job and I hire Christelle. And she quits her job and there's not just one angle of my face and a screenshot. That's up to you. All I can do is give you the news and give you the facts the way that I do, and wait for you guys to decide what the show is worth to you. That said, there's not going to be any more plugs. That's all I've got to say. I've got 2 more stories to cover. Nuclear war warning inside the luxury doomsday bunkers with swimming pools, spas, wine cellars, cinemas, as billionaires all over the world prepare for the apocalypse. Now, a lot of people are going to scoff at this, laugh at this, whatever they wish to do, and that is fine. But you can say that they're mad, you can say that they're insane, you can say whatever you want. But before you laugh at them, let me share a little story with you. I had just told the editor where I work at the Conservative Daily Post that I speak in analogy, finding something kind of like Jesus Christ spoke in parables. I really don't know how I'd be able to speak otherwise. Nobody would ever know what I'm talking about. 1, 10, 20 billionaires spending an unbelievable amount of money on doomsday bunkers would be people bonkers in their bunkers. They would be crazy, they would be nuts, and there would be no reason for me to be reporting on it right now or for you to still be listening to me. However, there are a very large number of billionaires. Now, there are only two conclusions that you can draw from this. Either there are a very large number of billionaires willing to spend copious amounts of their money so that they can live like rock stars when the nuclear bombs or the great virus or whatever your favorite doomsday scenario is happens. Or they're on to something. Now, I don't know about you, but there are a number of billionaires that I've never heard of that get by being idiots. It just isn't very common. It's kind of like 80-year-old heroin addicts. And there's a reason they don't exist. Idiots spend their billionaires. And that makes you wonder why they're doing this. Now, if they were buying palaces all over the place, then that would be understandable. That's what billionaires do. Doomsday bunkers? For this many? To be buying doomsday bunkers, I think we should pay attention to it. And I've been pitching the story to everyone that will listen. Son, nuclear warning inside the luxury doomsday bunkers with swimming pools, spas, wine cellars, cinema. Look at that. I'm on the screen share. You guys can see it. Very disturbing here. When you picture a doomsday bunker, you probably imagine a concrete room filled with cold tins of baked beans and uncomfortable makeshift beds. The 21st century billionaires are preparing to batten down the hatches in a very different set of conditions to those endured by their ancestors in London's World War II bomb shelters. Now, let us go ahead and remember briefly here that billionaires, oh, I hate when sites do this. I absolutely hate that. I try to close one ad and it opens 50. 21st century billionaire. It reminds me of what George Carlin said. It's an elite group, buddy, and you're not in it, to paraphrase. This is what they have prepared for themselves. While you and I, the useless eaters, the sheeple, die of radioactive poison. Take a look at this. It's a real facility that existed, that it does exist in Czechoslovakia. It was built between 84 and 94. 84 and 94, friends, I don't know about you, but I'm in 2017. This is what they had in 1994 or 1984? 1984, really? Sipping on fine wine. Billionaire bunkers are on the rise. A 700% increase? You mean to tell me there's a 700% increase in billionaires that are throwing money away for nothing? I can't believe that more people aren't listening to this story. The world's filthy rich residents, it says, are preparing for nuclear warfare, a disease pandemic, zombie apocalypse, and natural disasters by investing in five-star luxury bunkers. Your father or grandfather's bunker was not very comfortable, Robert Da Vinci, CEO of a high-end shelter company, Vivos, told CNN, the fake news channel, but on this, I guess we can try to trust them. They were gray, they were metal, like a ship or something, military, and the truth is mankind cannot survive long-term in such a Spartan, bleak environment. So it goes on to describe the images that you're now seeing on screen share. Bomb shelters cost between 20,000 and 160,000 euros. 575 bunkers served as an army munitions depot. Look at this. This might be why the elite aren't quite so worried about blowing everybody up. I mean, this is what they're going to go to. This is already what they're living in while they shut the rest of the free world out. So it won't be much of a change for them. Hillary Clinton hasn't driven a car in how many years? And they seem like the over-the-top purchases are designed for the super paranoid, the sports stars, hedge fund managers, and even tech gurus, including Bill Gates. That should raise some hairs among the more prudent listeners of my audience. Are rumored to have invested in these bunkers. You can bet your ass that George Soros did too. So, 3, 2, 1, if you want to read the specifics on it. But friends, this is interesting. This is worrisome too. This is the kind of life that they've designed for themselves. That's their little survival community. Take a look at it. Okay, let's look at this. No, not that. I hate reading this. The sights is annoying. Sty on your eye, I swear to God. All right, they've lost my interest. But suffice to say that there's a reason that this is happening. And I don't think it's some random coincidence. I don't think that suddenly a bunch of billionaires have lost their mind and decided to invest in doomsday bunkers just because they think it might be fun to own. Okay, you buy a Ferrari because it might be fun to own. You don't buy a nuclear doomsday bunker. And friends, that brings us to the dumdy of the day. Friends, the dumdy of the day, of course, every day we have the dumbest story of the month. The dumbest story of the day, Dunce Cap of the month, comes once a month. Will be when our behind-the-scenes Queen Christelle is back. And it ties into the first story. Remember, I told you to keep the first story in your mind because it would be important later. Look at the description. It says it too. Well, it is because it ties into the dumdy of the day. Fukushima residents return 6 years after nuclear blast. This is express.co.uk. Now, why would you return to a nuclear blast zone in light of what we know today? Now, I understand that you don't have a lot of money. Well, let me ask you a question. Ever hear of the movie The Conqueror? It's odd because I just wrote about this with the Conservative Daily Post. I stuck it in one of my analogies. It was a movie that John Wayne was in where he was ill-cast as Genghis Khan. Terrible. Worth seeing because it's so bad it's priceless. But the important part of that movie isn't anything that you would expect. But the fallout from the nuclear bomb testings that occurred in the area where the movie was filmed killed everyone on the movie set. Cast, crew, anyone that was there for any extended period of time of cancer. The Fukushima disaster is still giving off radiation and has been since 2011, March 11th, has been giving off radiation that is worse than the radiation and the fallout that happened from the bomb test that killed everybody on the set of The Conqueror. So with that in mind, why would anyone, no matter how poor they are, I'd rather live on Skid Row than in a good house in a nuclear war zone? Why would they move back here? Listen to this. The first train since the meltdown of nearby nuclear reactors in Fukushima pulled into Naimi yesterday after the Japanese government declared it safe. Now, the government declares things safe for the good of the bottom line. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm not going to repeat myself and bore every new viewer. Just scroll back. So the government can tell you that eating a uranium sandwich is safe. Are you going to believe it? Because they're only telling you that for the good of the bottom line. And again, we proved that earlier. More than 20,000 people died or went missing, of course, when the earthquake rocked Fukushima. But Naomi was one of hundreds of towns hurriedly evacuated when the giant wave crashed into the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station, causing multiple meltdowns. Naomi, just 3 miles away, was left dangerously radioactive and declared a no-go zone. But over the past 6 years, it has become a ghost town with shops shuttered, weeds pushing through, blah, 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 wild boars, we've covered them. So despite a massive cleanup operation, I'm going to go ahead and let this play as I read it in the background. Despite a massive cleanup operation, radiation levels inside the power plant remain dangerously high, blah, 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 blah. So what they did is they scooped off the top layer of soil, sprayed a few houses down, and have now told the people that because certain radioactive nuclides have died away, that the actual area is now safe. What they're not telling anybody is that the radionuclides of other substances which cannot be washed away, but which remain in the air and which are oftentimes gamma radiation, for those of you that want me to get scientific on you, cannot be removed nor washed away in many instances for billions with a B of years. Look up the half-life of uranium if you want to tune out because you think I'm exaggerating. So what they did during this cleanup was move everyone back, saying that the area was clean because they ran a hose over it, and because running a hose over it will diminish the half-life of 1, 2, 10 poisons out of millions. Some of them which will remain radioactive for millions and billions of years. That means cancer. That means heart disease. That means catching illnesses that diminish your quality of life constant during the course of your life until some terrible disease finally brings you down. That is what the Fukushima disaster is, and that's why I report on it each and every month. If you support what I do and what you've seen, then please donate to me at thecorrectviews@hotmail.com through PayPal. Every penny that you give to me goes towards a better show. You can also find me on Patreon, but I'm pretty sure it's a useless site since nobody has, but I'm on it. I'm a member of the Media Speaks. I write for the Conservative Daily Post, although most of the articles I pick are my own, but many are of different topics. I'm limited to how many topics of radioactivity I can get to, but they've given me a far bigger voice on the topic than anybody else has. So that means when you see me write an article on that site about it, click it, share it, get it out. Let everyone know that you liked it. And that is how we alert more and more people to the dangers of radioactivity, whether it's a nuclear power plant or through the weapons industry. Good night, friends. Thank you for listening. Good night, and God bless.